Maratona is not an event which you can afford to take lightly, and so you should start planning your training months in advance. Here are a few tips to get you through faster or simply with a little less pain.
Just with any training program, consistency is key. As an example, it's always better to do 4 or 5 rides in a week which total 5 hours than to just do one 5-hour ride at the weekend. This kind of regime should give your body plenty of stimulus, but also allow it adequate recovery to make the necessary adaptations. Along with consistency should be a steady build in your training. Start your plan so that you are more than capable of sticking to it, both from a physical and time constraints point of view. This can be done either by increasing the duration that you ride each week or the intensity. Don't increase both at the same time though, this can be disastrous. You should always listen to your body. If your training plan says to do a hard ride, but your body is absolutely shattered, then it's time to take an impromptu day or two of rest before you get going again. Whilst we're on the subject of rest, it's important to factor this into your plan as well. Hard training will break your muscles down, and it's only whilst you're resting that your body will be able to repair itself, making the adaptations that will eventually make you stronger. Whilst constructing your training plan, try to take into account weather forecasts to make your life easier. Constantly riding in bad weather can severely dent your motivation, as it can take the enjoyment out of riding. If some days are looking better than others, plan longer rides on the dry days and shorter or indoor sessions or even rest days on the bad days. Another great way to keep your motivation high is to ride with a group or friend. Not only does this make the time pass quicker whilst you're out riding, it also makes you get out on the bike in the first place. Have a time and place arranged to meet people, and you're much less likely to find excuses not to go out the door. Keeping a training diary, however simple, will allow you to keep track of improvements and understand how your body responds to training stimulus. If you have a great day on the bike, you can look back at what you did over the preceding weeks and try to spot a reason. Likewise, if you have a bad day, you can look back to see if perhaps you've been doing a little too much. An important part of the Maratona is to have the correct gears on your bike well before you set off for the event. If you're an intermediate or advanced rider, a compact chain set consisting of a 34-tooth inner chainring and a rear cassette which goes from 12 up to 29 should suffice. However, if you're a beginner, there is certainly no shame in having a triple. This means having 3 chainrings at the front, just like many mountain bikes. It will give you that extra safety net for any particularly nasty gradients or if you go through a bad moment during the event. It's not just the actual riding that you should practice beforehand. You should also practice everything else that you're going to need to do on the day of the Maratona. This includes getting used to eating and drinking whilst you're riding. Not only will this make you more comfortable on the day when you're having to do it with lots of other riders around you, it will also get your body used to absorbing what you're consuming. Find a brand of energy drink and food which agrees with you and which you like the taste of, then take enough over with you for the day of the event. Aim to drink one 500ml bottle every hour and eat something every 45 minutes. This doesn't have to be a whole cereal bar, but the habit and distraction will help you on the day of the event. Spend some time in the mountains or simulate them as best you can. This is a little bit of a luxury if you don't live in a mountainous area, and it will depend on time and budget. However, if it is at all possible, try to head to a mountainous area on the run-up to the event to get in some hill climb training. There's nothing like the real thing to help you prepare your body for what lies ahead. Do a ride of the same duration you expect to take at the Maratona before the day of the event. As the pinnacle of your training build-up, you should try to get a ride in at equal duration to what you expect the Maratona will take you on the day. So if you think it's going to take you around 7 hours, then try to get in one ride of 7 hours beforehand. This should be done at least 2 weeks before the Maratona. Those last 2 weeks running up to the event itself should consist of a taper, i.e. reducing your training load and freshening up for the big day. Writing a detailed training plan to cover all abilities for people with various time constraints is a virtual impossibility. However, here are some guidelines that you can work from to give you a basis. I think you know when you're a beginner or not. Here's a guide to get you started and break down the challenge. Start slowly. Jumping in with both feet and doing too much too soon is a recipe for disaster. But it's surprising how many fall into this trap. Aim to be consistent and to do a little more each month. A 3 weeks on, 1 week easy programme will work for many. That means either building the volume or the intensity of your rides each week for 3 weeks, then taking an easier week to recover from your efforts.
If you already have a couple of sportive t-shirts in the drawer, or you're a slightly more experienced cyclist, then start with an intermediate level training schedule. The basis of the training plan should be the same: consistency and progression. As an intermediate rider though, you can start to add some structure to your sessions. You can also consider the use of a heart rate monitor or power meter, even if it's only 1 day a week.
Here in Chernobyl is where the riders doing the full events will separate themselves from those doing the medium, heading around here, eventually getting to the Paso Gyal. As an advanced level cyclist, you'll find fitness gains that bit harder to come by, making adding structure and planning to your training even more important. You might even want to add in a couple of events on the run-up to the Maratona, a local sportive, or even a race. That extra intensity can make all the difference if you feel like you've plateaued.
One thing that applies to you no matter what your level is to take things relatively easy in the last 7 to 10 days leading up to the event. By that point, you should have done the hard parts, and there's nothing that you'll be able to do in those final days to improve your fitness. If anything, panic training near to the event can do more harm than good. Remember, form is a combination of both fitness and freshness.